Good morning and welcome to Monday's broadcast in the Successful Salon Team Training Room. How are you all this morning? Give me a hand, give me a thumbs up, let me know you're there. I hope you had a beautiful weekend. The weather was kind to us, as it is actually today as well. It's beautiful out there. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed resting up, and we are in the full flow of things this morning. Good morning, Dolly. I have the amazing Suzanne with me today. Good morning, Suzanne.
Good morning, Jennifer Louise.
Suzanne and I met, about a year ago now, isn't it? At Academy. And I just love what Suzanne does. Like every time we go to a 3-day training course, I'm putting away at her brain, asking her loads and loads of questions. And so I thought, if I'm really interested in what Suzanne does, then maybe you guys would want to definitely will be too. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, Suzanne.
Okay, so I'm an interior therapist, and probably nobody's ever heard of that. You might have heard of feng shui, you might have heard of decluttering, you've probably heard of life coaching, you've probably heard of law of attraction. What I do is I bundle the whole lot in together, and I really make people look at their surroundings, because you see, the things that we keep around us have such a massive impact on our lives, and you don't necessarily realize. And you know, in some cases I can walk into somebody's house and look around me just at the things they've got on the wall, their trinkets, their ornaments, just bits and pieces, photographs, and I can tell them what's going on in their lives, even though they haven't admitted it to themselves. So you know, it's quite an interesting thing to do. But what you can do with that is then lift people out of a rut, out of feeling stuck in the doldrums. You can fix relationships that are, you know, you still love the person so very much, but everything's going wrong and you don't understand why. You can fix those relationships. It's just incredible, and I love, love, love doing it.
I love it too. So I stumbled upon this just before I met Suzanne. Actually, it hadn't been anything that had come into my life, and actually I was looking for a bit of a hobby, and I had a conversation with a guy who was talking about all of this, and all of a sudden I was like, what? So your stuff in your home like lifts you or brings you down and causes emotions and energy? Like, I didn't get it. So explain a little bit about the whole energy cycle around what stuff is.
Okay, so all stuff will have an energy of some form, and some of that will be the energy that you have put into it. So, for example, the mug you're drinking from, now that clearly makes you feel really happy, doesn't it? It's your, you know, whenever you pick that up and you put it to your mouth, your whole face smiles. Now that is giving you great energy. Now, suppose you've got something in your home that reminds you of an ex-partner or somebody or something that you don't like very much. Let's say you've still got the papers from divorce, and it was an acrimonious divorce, but still those papers are in your cupboard or they're on the side. Those papers are giving off a real negative energy, and there'll be a nasty feeling of stagnation around them if you're quite clued up. And I think many people who work very closely with other people, you know, in the caring and the self-care sectors, as your salon owners do, you can be very, very tuned in to the energy of your clients. And you'll find that if you've got something sitting around that's exuding negative energy, you might not notice it, you will feel it. You'll feel uncomfortable in that part of your home. You won't want to spend time there. I think probably at one point or another, we've all walked into a space and just thought, oh, I got to get out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the negative energy. Now you can extend that into a whole building, or you can bring it down to one small thing. Now, if, for example, you went somewhere and somebody gave you a mug of tea and you're sipping away quite happily, and then somebody says to you, oh, that cup belonged to an axe murderer. Does that tea taste quite so good? I'm thinking probably not. Same thing with the energy of things around your home. Now, and I say you've got the personal energy there, but you've also got the energy of the thing itself. So if you've got a picture of a very, very lonely woman, you know, these arty shots where they're sort of all sort of scrunched down, or they've got their back to the camera and, you know, looking pretty sad. I find those images in the homes of sad women and in the homes of guys who can't sustain a relationship. And it's absolutely fascinating, because when we take those images out, suddenly the women feel happier, the guy gets a girlfriend, the girl stays, you know?
Yeah.
It's really peculiar. And, you know, people say, oh, you know, an image can't do that. It doesn't have that impact. That's ridiculous. You know, I'm going to keep my image of this sad woman scrunched up on the bed crying because I think it's beautiful and it really says something to me. Yeah, what is that saying to you? It's saying you're feeling all scrunched up on the bed and lonely and unhappy and all of those things. So, yeah, the good signs for me when I go into people's homes, you know, there are certain red flags that I can spot and go, okay, I know exactly what's going on here. Let's fix it.
And you've given me some advice, because I'm going to own up here. I had this picture right by my door, my bedroom door, and it was like a tall silhouette of the back of the woman, and everybody said, "Is that you? Someone told you to do because it doesn't look like me." And it was just so bizarre. And then Suzanne went, "What the hell is that? Get that out!" Like, do you want to be single for the rest of your life? I was like, oh, I didn't even realise what I was doing. But then when I stopped to look around my home, there was a ballerina in the bathroom, a woman on her own. As I walked to the door, there was another artist, single woman on her own. As we walked into the hallway, single woman on her own. Now, I filled my home with pictures, I don't know why I've done it, subconsciously, with just single women on their own. I think I was wanting to stay single.
Yeah. Well, I think as well, when you come out of a difficult relationship, if you don't want to go straight back into something new, and let's face it, it is a good plan to actually re-establish yourself for you before you rush into something new. And in that situation, yeah, having those single images around you is good, because it strengthens and it refines the person that you are. But as soon as you're ready to think about getting together with somebody else or to broaden your friendship group, then having those lonely single images around actually does you a disservice. There's one lady I worked with, and she has a 2-bedroom house in London. Beautiful house, don't get me wrong. 71 single images we found in the first sweep, and that's before we got to things stuck in drawers and
oh my god,
just what was on the walls.
Wow. So taking this into our businesses and our office space and the salon space, what can we do? Because it's so important that when we go back, the energy is lifted and vibrant and positive, so that we can get back into our businesses and full force. So what can we be doing around our businesses?
Okay, well, I know absolutely all of you are going in and you're doing the deepest clean. You're out hinching Mrs. Hinch level of your salons, because you know that as soon as lockdown lifts, you are going to be the most popular people on the planet. You know this, but at the same time, you also know that you have to keep yourselves, your staff, and your customers in tip-top healthy condition. So it is obviously the first thing. Now, what I'd also like you to do is really look around your salons, look at what you've got on the walls, look at what you're displaying. What are they saying to you? If you take a step back, if you put a child in front of the picture, what would they tell you it's about? Because, you know, children see things that adults don't see, frankly. And you know, so look at everything as a child would look at it. I think a lot of the images that I see when I go into salons, you've kind of got these pouty ladies looking really fed up.
Yeah.
Great hair. You know, that pouty energy is perhaps infusing into your staff. So, you know, if you've got some staff who are brilliant stylists but are perhaps a little bit pouty, maybe just about changing those images to something which lifts the energy. There are going to be other beautiful images you can use. One of my big bugbears, and I'm excluding anybody here who is a practicing Buddhist, okay? And Jen, you know all about my views on Buddha in the home, in your workplace, anywhere, if you're not a practicing Buddhist, because there are certain issues with this. First of all, Buddha chose to leave his wife and family. He chose a life of solitude and celibacy and poverty. And that is the energy that when I go into homes and businesses, I tend to find around the statue of a Buddha or a picture of a Buddha. And I find these so many times by tills and on reception counters, because what you're, as a salon owner, obviously when somebody comes in, you want them to feel great and relaxed and all of those things. And fashion style has promoted the idea that having a Buddha will give you this whole sense of peace and spirituality. Yeah, all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right by your till. That's also reducing your take. It's making you feel very, very insular and isolated. And you might find that people just up and leave because, you know, not just your staff, but your clients as well. And it's that peculiar energy. The other thing to say for anybody who has a salon/spa is that in Buddhism, it is incredibly inappropriate for anybody to be naked or semi-clothed in front of the image of the Buddha. It's kind of, it would be like sort of walking past the Pope in your panties, you know. It's just not, it's not the done thing. And yet here in the West, we're using this as a sort of fashion image, and it's doing incredible damage in homes, in relationships. I mean, you can guarantee if I'm invited to the home of a couple where suddenly they're sleeping in separate rooms, they're feeling very alone, very isolated, go into the bedroom, yeah, she's brought home a Buddha. So, you know, it's just one of those things. Look out for it. And aside from the rest of that, I want you to just really look and feel the energy of your salon and how you feel in each area. Is there any area you feel uncomfortable? Why is that? Are there areas to avoid? Why is that? Where are people congregating? What's making that happen? Is it more than the fact that the kettle's there? You know, think about all of those things. And then just before you're ready to reopen, I think do what I would call a space clearing ceremony. And you'll find lots and lots of different ways of doing this on the internet. I mean, I've got my way of doing it, you know, whether you use white sage or you spray, you know, scented oils in a diffuser, anything like that, just clear the completely. A great way to do this is to actually clap in all the corners just to zing the energy up and to remove any stagnation.
I don't think I ever told you this. This is a live broadcasted confession. So in the salon, I had this cream Buddha that I bought probably when I opened the business. And when you first said to me about Buddha, I was like, where's the Buddha in the salon? Oh my God, it was not only in the toilet, it was on the back of the toilet where you press the handle. So literally every single person in my business was showing their bum to Buddha on a daily basis. And then when you said to me, like, and I was like, oh my God, we're literally showing him our asses.
And where is he now?
Yeah, so it's at reception, just before lockdown, I said to one of the girls, can you please take that Buddha up to the charity shop? And it never ended up happening. And I know you just can't throw them away, can you? You can't just chuck them in. So I don't want to just chuck it, but the minute charity shops are back open, that's where Buddha's going. He's got to go out. And I don't want to bring him home either. So I'm like, where? No. So yeah.
Please don't bring him home.
We've got a quick question here. It says, so today would have been my 29th wedding anniversary. I've had those divorce papers for 27 years. Well, my marriage only lasted 2 years as well. How can I, now can I burn them?
Burn them today. Well, you know, not while everybody's out doing their thing in the sunshine and when the washing's out, from a purely practical perspective. But tonight, when everybody lights their barbecue, get out there, burn those papers, burn any court papers, burn any divorce papers. Once it's done, it's done. Get it out of your life.
Yeah, I would agree. I still have mine, actually. And I think it's because every now and again, I have to change something and then I have to prove, like, my driving license, and then I have to change my passport, and I have to bloody give these divorce papers over.
Yeah, you have your statement of divorce, and let's face it, if you ever want to remarry, you've got to have that. But what you don't need is the whole file of all the paperwork that you had to take to court or to deal with in terms of a solicitor or a settlement. You just need that paper that says, this is my decree absolute. That's the only bit you keep.
Yeah, and the rest can go. Any cards, I found, and I was doing some clearing out just at the beginning of lockdown, there was a suitcase in my wardrobe, and I thought, oh, it's all just full of the kids' stuff. But when I actually started to dig into it, my wedding album was still in there. And there was a few other things, and I was like, what the hell is this doing in my house? And the whole lot, I took it to the dump.
I worked with a client, actually, because I do a lot of online consultations, and you know, so we do them in 3-hour blocks, because that's kind of as long as you want to do in online. It can be quite draining.
Yeah.
For the person at the other end. So we did one on Saturday, and we got the 4 classic items: the wedding album, court papers, this was from a tribunal, the ashes of dead pets, and what was the 4th thing? Just old photos that were keeping her trapped in the past, and they were all there in this house. And it wasn't a big house. You could just, it's easier for me to feel energy when I'm in a space, but when I'm able to tune in on an online, I could just feel this weight pressing down on this poor woman. And when we started, I said, where do you feel you need to start? I need you to just tune into the house. Where do you start? She said, in that corner. And there's the ashes, the divorce papers, the tribunal papers.
Oh, it was all there.
All there.
Wow, I bet she felt amazing after that.
Yeah, she was a little surprised when we just sort of dug down, and it was yep. You're a classic. But so many people do that without thinking. We hang on to stuff because we don't know what to do with it, so we keep it instead of just engaging. Right, how is this serving me? And you know, if anybody works with me, you'll hear this over again. How is this serving you to keep this item? And it's just like, oh, okay, it's probably not.
And I think every single one of you listening in right now, or if you're watching this on the replay later on, you'll be thinking about the salon and the cupboards, and like we're all in such a busy process when we're in the business that we're just chucking things here and putting things there. There's not a clear filing kind of system, I suppose, inside Salon sometimes. And so I've been using this time to go in every Monday. Chloe and I are picking a section, we're cleaning out, we're deep cleaning, and we're cutting stuff that's unreal. So that's definitely something that you guys at home could be starting the process on, you know, clearing out the clutter. I noticed one of the things I noticed, I go into so many salons, and one of the things I noticed is generally salons have like a set of china mugs or china cups to tea that are for clients, all very beautiful. And then for tea, it's all like slogan mugs and pictures and words on them. What's your feeling about that?
Okay, so first and foremost, I always think it's really, really important that the mugs that we use are uplifting. So if you've given your, you know, if you've got a particularly challenging member of staff who happens to have a mug that says drama queen on it, you're lining yourself up for more aggro, basically. I think it's really important to cherish the people that we work with and to show them that they're cherished. So absolutely, your staff deserve to feel great when they are taking a break. They need to feel respected and appreciated. So, you know, like Jen, you've got your mug with a J on it. Maybe across the board, if you've managed to get a selection of staff with different initials, that's one option.
That's what we do.
But please, 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 if you've got scabby old mugs that you've just dumped out of the kitchen cupboard, is this all that you think of your staff? Is this how you respect the people that you're working with? And I think probably the answer should be no. So yeah, I'm a big fan of all mugs need to have really, if you're going to go slogans, they need to be slogans that are uplifting, helpful, supportive. You know, none of the whole fridge pickers wear big knickers type mugs that you see, or this is the mug of a grumpy old man. You know, that's not good for any of you. And it gets into the subconscious. And, you know, when things are in the subconscious, they go round and round and round. And what you put out, you're going to get back, basically. So choose. I mean, I go with this mug. This is the one I love to have when I'm working. It just feels good. We don't have any negative phrasing or slogans in our home, or when I go out and work with people, that would be one of the things that we look at in the kitchen. Is, all right, okay, what is this saying to you?
Yeah, I agree. So I've got a quick question on the chat. What's something positive we could add? So what can we add that lifts the energy in the salon, that brings in positivity in and around the salon space?
Okay, so your easiest, most straightforward thing is always going to be fresh flowers. Fresh flowers, they have this beautiful, beautiful energy around them. Keep them there as long as they are in tip-top condition. When they start to go a little brown around the edges, they need to go out. Now, I recognise that for some people, it's not going to be practical to have fresh flowers. You might not have the space. The income might be a little tight when you go back, understandably. Think about, in that situation, getting a really beautiful white silk orchid. White silk is probably the best thing you can have if you can't have fresh flowers. But once you can get into the fresh stuff, get back to that. Now, I think there are people, certainly on the holistic end of things, who would have crystals in their salons. I would say to you, always, no matter what, you need to be washing and recharging those crystals every single week, because crystals are like batteries. They absorb what's going on around them. Now, as salon owners, when you have people come in, they spill their guts, don't they, in your chair while you're talking to them. You're getting the whole life story, all the disasters, all the traumas, and your crystals are just absorbing that stuff. So you need to be cleansing them regularly. Okay. In terms of other positive things, it's really about keeping the energy high with your staff. One of the things that I use personally, and it has to come from the top, folks. You know, if you are going into your salon feeling grouchy and crotchety in the morning, then no matter what else you have, no matter how many fresh flowers, twinkling charms, crystals, whatever, you are going to diffuse that energy right through your staff. So you've got to be up, you've got to be at your best. And the way I always start my day is by thinking about what I'm grateful for and actually writing it down. So if you can carve 10 minutes out of your morning, I know that might sound like, oh my God, how can I get 10 minutes? Yes, find 10 minutes, take a beautiful book that makes you feel good when you're writing it. Just write down the 3, 10, 20 things that you feel grateful for and add to the power of it by saying, I'm grateful for this beautiful blue sky day because I know everybody feels so much better when the sun's out. You know, so you say you're grateful and then you say why. And that will lift your energy before you even step into the salon. And that will then percolate down through your staff and into your clients. And your clients will feel that good energy when they walk in there and they will keep coming back.
I love that. I just love the whole, because I've got crystals in my backwash area. So it's very calm. I've got nice green plants and crystals, but I don't ever cleanse them.
Please do.
I didn't even know that. I know you can cleanse them, but I didn't even think about the fact that they were absorbing all of that energy.
Yeah. And when you need to give them a good wash, and then you ideally recharge them in the sun. So today is going to be an excellent day to do that. Give them a really good wash, stick them outside so that the sun can just get some great new fresh vibrancy into them.
Yeah, amazing. What about the space coming into the business? How do we keep that uplifted and positive and inviting so that people want to come in?
It is about the energy of the people inside, but also look outside the salon. Go and stand outside as a new client, as somebody who's just moved to the area, who doesn't know you, who doesn't know your team. Are they going to want to go in there, or are they going to walk down the road to the next one? You know, you've all got rivals. You've all got people who you. It might be a friendly rivalry, or it might be daggers drawn. But what makes your place the one that people want to walk into? Now, Jen, you're absolutely right to be clearing all of that clutter. What I would say to you is if you've got one of those coat stands that's sort of draped with loads and loads of robes, and then everybody's coats get jumbled on top of it and people are fighting to get their stuff off, that just looks awful. You know, try and find a way of avoiding those. Try and find a way of making your salon look beautifully streamlined, like you're walking into your vision of the perfect salon. You know, how does that look? And I would put money on it that your dream of the perfect salon doesn't have stacks of curled up magazines, old leaflets, piles of coats, dirty coffee cups, all of those things. You've got to be treating it like a 7-star hotel.
Yeah.
If that means that you basically have somebody there concierging your place, making sure that if some litter's dropped outside, you get out there and you take it out of the way, making sure that your windows are clean, that the windows aren't jumbled. I know how tempting it is to put posters up for local events and things like that, but they make a window look cluttered. You know, you want to be inviting people in. Yeah. So just, it's like selling a house. Think about your curb appeal.
Yeah.
What is going to make somebody walk through that door? The other end of that, of course, is how daunting is it to walk into a place that doesn't feel friendly or never been into? You know, some places can be so high spec that and with people who frankly look a little bit snooty and look down on you. Well, that's not going to help you if you want to get lots of new people in. And as I said, you're going to be fine immediately after lockdown. But what happens at 6 weeks after that? Where are people's loyalties going to lie? You know, what is going to draw them back? And it is going to be about them feeling good for the entire time that they spend in your space. And that can only be done with the energy of the space and therefore the people in it. So yeah, there's actually one company that I'm working with, believe it or not, in the Dominican Republic. And yeah, I'm global. And the boss there he's quite young, very, very dynamic. And he said to me, Suzanne, what can I do to really boost the energy of my staff? They're feeling really flat. We've had to take a lot of time out for this virus. And now we're going back. What are we going to do? And so I said to him about the gratitudes. And what they've done is they've set up on the laptops that the team use it. As they do their login, they automatically get invited. It's important it's invited to do 3 gratitudes.
Yeah.
And the energy has just gone woo, right up.
Yeah.
As soon as they sit down, thinking, oh, how am I feeling good? And it's paying off. It's paying off big time. And this is a service company that isn't back at full strength because, of course, so many areas aren't open yet.
Yeah, I must say, I started this. I mean, obviously it stopped because of lockdown, but when we go back, it's going to be mandatory every single morning because but as my team come in, very first thing, they have a pack made up every single day. I get in there about an hour before we open. Their whole day is mapped, planned and packed out, and their pack with their pen and their badge is given to them. They log in, but on the very top of that now is just 3 gratitudes and then 3 intentions. So what are you grateful for? What intentions are you setting for your day? So how do you want this day to pan out for you? And they're not allowed to do anything else until they've written those 3 gratitudes and 3 intentions. I just think it is. It's such a positive lifting.
I think it is. But one thing I would say is mandatory is if you've got somebody who's terminally grouchy, mandatory is going to make them worse. So, but you might find that sorts out the people that you really want to have in your business.
Yeah.
And I think I'm fascinated to see how that works out for you. I hope that we'll be able to have a chat about it another time because I think that's a lesson that is going to be really useful to take out and then allow you to handpick the staff who really deserve to be there serving your clients because you want the best and you want that great energy around you and them.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's going to be really important going back into business, that you surround yourself with the positive people that have that positive energy. And this is really going to weed out people in the business that want to be there and those that don't. It
really is. It really is, yeah.
Are they on your bus or are they off your bus?
Absolutely. But I think if you'd met me 3.5 years ago, I was so talk about Mrs. Doom. I just allowed myself to sink into this spiral of negativity. That the relationship wasn't great, the job wasn't great, and it was actually getting to grips with what felt good and why. I looked around my home, having been doing this stuff 20 years. I looked around my home at what I'd allowed to creep in unnoticed.
Yep.
And, it was at the point I noticed the 2 dried flower hearts over the sofa. And I looked at the wreckage of my relationship and thought, you create what's going on around you with stuff, whether that's in your salon, whether that's in your home. And just please, everybody, it's a great day to just tune in and see what's going on in your house and really, is that working for you?
Yeah. Well, I know me and Chloe will be down there this afternoon. At the first part, excuse me, of our journey is deep cleaning and decluttering. And then it's like, right, okay, let's now start looking at what areas and what zones have we got in the business, what's it saying to us, how can we increase the energy for that particular area and zone, and start really working with it. So we're on a really lovely journey of uplifting the business and having it at its best potential for when we go back. One of the things I was super excited about the other week was that you have written a book, and I was the very first person to buy this book, because as soon as she said, Jen, I've done it, I've written my book, it's out, I was like, damn, I've got to get that book. I am so interested in this stuff. And you know, Suzanne has made some like really big important changes in my home already for me, just by like, that needs to go. I had a table, and actually I would have been working off of it if it was still here, and it was cracked. And Suzanne went, it's more table, and the energy of cracked mirrors not great anyway, but the sentimental thought going around that table is out, and so it's gone.
Yeah. And how does it feel now?
Oh, it's enabling. If I still had it here, I would be working on it now, and I don't think my business would have gone with the force that it has over lockdown. It's been detrimental, I think, to like me having what I want to achieve or not.
Yeah. Well, let's face it, you've been part of a best-selling book since you got shot at that table. You've gone from strength to strength with what you're doing, and this is what happens. You unblock the stagnant energy in your home, and everything just goes whoosh, and it's exciting.
And I'm excited to now get your book in my hands. I'm like, come on, hurry up, because then I can start, like, because this process doesn't end. Like, we do it, and then we look through the house again, and we realise we bought something that shouldn't have actually been there, or why the hell did I buy that? And so I'm excited to do the next phase now, getting that book and being like, right, okay, let's start. I'm going to start with my bedroom, because I love my bedroom. I absolutely feel so happy, but there is something, and I don't know what it is. There is something somewhere that's just moving.
Well, you know, I always do my free 15-minute sessions anyway, because let's face it, I love poking around people's places. So I have my calendar, and people can book a 15-minute slot, and I'll have a little nose around their home, and if there's anything I spot instantly, then I'll say about it. And then if they want to work with me further, then we arrange that. You know, we arrange a really great and convenient time. One thing I do want to throw in there is, any of you salon owners who have got spiky plants in your salons, please get them out. Please. They are cutting into your energy, and they're cutting into the energy of your staff and your clients. They're not doing you any favours. So even if they are a 6-foot yucca, please relocate the yucca. You know, you'll feel so much better for it. But yes, I'm excited about the book as well. It's with the printers, so apparently I can expect it in the next 10 days. And obviously all the pre-orders, I'm taking pre-orders for first edition autograph copies, and so we're going to look like this.
Oh, look at that.
So yeah, that's obviously what you did, Jane. You grabbed a first edition copy, and there aren't that many of those. When they've gone, it's going to be a case of waiting for them to be available on Amazon. But you can certainly jump in at the moment and order one online from my website, and it'll be sent to you in the next couple of weeks. As soon as they arrive here, they're going out of the door, because we don't this out. So a big pile of books is not going to be hanging around here for long.
No. So if you're interested in shifting some of that stagnant energy in your home or in the salon, then Suzanne just said to you, you can have a 15-minute free call with her. The link is in the bio of this video. So once we're done, just jump onto the bio of the video, book a call with her. You can have a little look around whatever room or whatever part of the house or the salon it is that you want to increase that vibrancy and that energy in. Or you can go and purchase the book on her website. The link is also in the description of this video. Suzanne, thank you so much for spending your time with us this morning. I really
It's been a joy.
And I'm looking forward to getting in the salon this afternoon and doing a bit more decluttering.
Have a brilliant time doing it, and everybody enjoy this magnificent day. You know, see, this time is a huge opportunity to just take control of everything that's going on around you in your home, in your salon. Just use every moment and feel great about it.
Absolutely. Well said, Suzanne. Guys, thank you so much for spending your morning with us. For those of you that are in the Find Your Sue training room, I will be over there with you at 1 o'clock this afternoon. So make sure you're on time, don't be late. And the rest of you, I'll see you back here at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Take care, lots of love. Bye.
Bye.